Okay, just now it's quite related also. We were discussing about conflict interest, isn't it? Just now I did mention that when you are submitting your manuscript for publishing or as for publication in the journals, you can indicate or you can exclude certain reviewer. Okay, this is because as I mentioned, potential COI. Okay. This one just to highlight the journal publications or publishing is very viable business models, yeah. So I'm sure you're very well aware Elsevier is Dutch company based in Netherlands. Okay. You see here they compare from different industry, publisher, banking, car manufacturer, and then retailing. Okay. So the profit margins cited by this particular website might not be 100% true, but give you a ballpark figure how the industrial standard are. Okay, 40%, profit margin 40%, which is sky high, very, very high, because if you see from Walmart, it's just less than, it's just maybe around the profit margin around 4%. Okay, car maker 12%. Okay, so this is a hugely lucrative business models for the publishers. Okay, let's take a quick look. Okay, Elsevier, how many journal under the Elsevier umbrella? Almost 3,000. Springer now it have merged with Springer Nature Publishing Group. So it's called Springer Nature, which include the scientific reports. This particular journal, Taylor and Francis, around 2,500. Okay. Uh, let's take a look at the how many journals being published by these publishers that are open access. Okay. I'm sure you're aware open access is you can freely download without subscriptions, but the journal will charge APC lah, article processing charges, or publishing fees. That means you have to pay fork out around maybe RM 1,000 to maybe 15,000 per article, in order for that your accepted paper to be published on that particular OA journals. OA means open access. Okay. There is a trend to move toward open access journal because it say it can liberalize or make it easier for other readers to download and then to view your journals. But if you see at the same time, it open up more uh, financial gain opportunities for these publishers. Okay, because they can charge for open access journals on top of the subscriptions. Okay, how Elsevier charge subscriptions in order for the university to have access to Elsevier journals under Science Direct. Okay, it need to pay uh, subscription fees, isn't it? That is one income generation method. But now they can also charge APC. Okay. So NDPI also we mentions three particular publishers that was being um not banned, discouraged by Ministry of Higher Education. First one is the NDPI, Frontiers, and Hindawi. Okay. I'll mention this one later. Okay. These are mostly open access journals. Okay. Okay. Quick statistic per year. Okay. The article published by these publishers, remember there are around 3,000, isn't it, journals under Elsevier and Springer. So these are the quantum, 700,000 papers. So if you just do a quick mathematics, uh, one let's say one open access journal publications charge is around average 2,000 USD. How much this thing will cost? How much income generated by Elsevier? So now you can understand how this 40% uh, gross margin can come about. Okay. Okay, coming back, ironically, peer review for journals is on voluntary basis, even though the publisher are making huge profit. But as a reviewer yourself, the journal will not pay you. This is on a voluntary basis. Okay. So what is definitions of peer review? Hmm? It's an evaluation of creative work or performance by other people in the same field in order to maintain or enhance the quality of work or performance in that field. Okay. Mainly you are tasked. Let's say now you have been assigned as a peer reviewer for one manuscript. Your task is to critically appraise it, to increase the standard of that or quality of the manuscript. Okay, if you find it's not suitable to be published, then either you can give comment to be reviewed or you can reject the paper. So I'm sure those doing PhD have faced rejection before. Likewise, rejection is norm. Doesn't mean that you feel discouraged by rejections. Obviously, you feel discouraged, but then it gives you more reason to improve your manuscript. Having said that, quality is very important. Make sure that the quality of your method research is at a high level in order to have a good data. Okay, it doesn't mean that the data, sorry, in a bad way, you say rubbish in, rubbish out. If your what someone's researcher done is not good quality, obviously the finding will not be a good quality. Okay. I would like to ask some journals, the author are required to pay for the publication fees, yet the reader have no access. No, if they charge publication fees, it should be fully open access. Yeah. So there are some called hybrid journals. Some research are public funded. Yes. Okay. Okay, so I'll give you some example, Wiki. It's very good point. Yeah, yeah. Please continue posting your question. Or you feel you can unmute yourself. Yeah, Wiki, can you
I
this?
just unmute.
Mm,
Say,
mm.
for example, previously I tried to publish in one of the journal for a journal of food protection. So we were requested to pay, I think, 1,800 USD for first 10 pages, if not mistaken, for first 10 pages, and then if it's colored pages, then there'll be additional charge. And yet it is only accessible for only their members. So say like if the institutes are not subscribed to this journal, they won't have any accessibility. So only the members will have accessibility. So that that makes me feel like it's double charging. That's why I'm asking the question. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, good point. I see where you're coming from now. So I forgot to mention that on top of okay, so for traditional publishing models before the advent of this open access, we used to be printed journals. So they will print hard copy and then they will post it to the all the university library who subscribe to those journals. And previously, in order to charge more, they will say that okay, to for the color printing for some certain figures, there will be additional charges. And that is one additional charges for color printing for the figures. The one you mentioned should fall under this color printing, but I think they have different subscription models in the sense that the impose, okay, they will charge you APC, but it's only for members. Then if you read normally, they have another charges to say that, okay, if you pay more, then it will be fully open access. That means it is fully downloadable, can be downloaded by any readers. So they have a different tier. It's just like different schemes used by the publishers. Some publisher even charge this priority screening. Give you an example, this JMIR based in Canada. Upon submitting your manuscript, if you pay 400 USD, they will give a priority seat for, I mean, they will prioritize your review process. So you will get an answer normally maybe 2 months, you get it within 2 weeks. This is like, for example, you go to Sunway Lagoon, you pay extra, you get a priority uh tickets or priority batch. So that is another kind of charges that proposed by the journals. What are the other charges that I come across? Some they say yeah, some they will not say priority charges. Some they charge you, let's say after submitting, they will charge you maybe 300, 400 USD processing charges. Then after acceptance, they will charge you APC again. Okay. So your case is could be from a particular society, and then they will charge that amount for member, and then there's always options lah, but it's very, very expensive. Um, so for traditional journals now, they come up with a category called hybrid journals, which means that they allow you to put your article as an open access, but they will charge around 5,000 USD. So that if you're happy to pay the 500 USD, then they'll put your article as an open access. Okay. Any, let's see other comments. Yeah. Yes, 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 it's hugely okay. So at a lot of times you have to tick during submissions. You say there's options. You have to acknowledge that, okay, you're going to pay for that APC charges, then only you can submit it. Okay. So unfortunately, this is how the industry have developed now. Okay. Okay, so coming back here, peer review journals. Okay, so most journal now running on this peer review basis. Obviously, there's some loophole that I'm going to highlight in my next slide. Okay. Minimum normally is 2 peer reviewer. Just like your thesis, okay, in order to pass your viva, sorry, in order to get your master or PhD, your thesis will be reviewed by 2 reviewer, normally one internal and then one external. Internal means from the institution itself, let's say, for example, Sunway University. And then those reviewer will give a grade lah, minor correction, major correction, fail. Okay. Likewise, the manuscript also is the same standard. You can be rejected or major correction or minor corrections. Then you have to do the corrections in order for the thesis or manuscript to be accepted. Okay. Let's look at the Hindawi. I mentioned 3 publisher was being blacklisted by the Ministry of Higher Education, isn't it? NDPI, Hindawi, and also Frontiers. So at particular interest, Hindawi, okay, the reputation was somewhat not very positive. It have around 200 journals. Okay, so you can see here if it's for example, abstract and apply analysis. This is one of the journals. Okay. Acceptance rate 6%. Submissions to final decisions takes how many days? How many days? Acceptance, how? Okay, site score means on the scopus lah. Okay. Scopus is actually run and managed by Elsevier, yeah, which is the largest publisher in the world. Okay. So if you submit your manuscript to this particular journal, normally it will take the ballpark days, around 119 days to get a final decisions. Okay. And then after your manuscript is accepted, normally it takes 30 days to be online. Okay, this is what it means. Okay, so last year, 2023, this publisher retracted more than 8,000 article, which they claim or they have proven that these particular or these articles, okay, these papers are being produced from paper mill. Paper mill means what? Um, it's like an illegal business of a researcher publishing either using fake data or using fabricated data or being uh, paid by certain universities to run the studies and then to publish it, and then so or sometimes it's by the thing called ghostwriting lah. Ghostwriting means that okay, person A paid person B to write a paper, and then but person A doesn't contribute uh, s- uh, academically or uh, intellectually to that paper. Okay. Retractions, how the journals is being retracted. Sorry, how the article is being retracted. It depends on the journals. Okay, some journals will put a very bold uh, retracted watermark on that paper. So when you download, it still can download paper, but this watermark will be imprinted on the PDF. Okay. So it's a public shaming for the academician, because it indicated that there is this academic dishonesty, and then somehow the article um not is not being recognized, therefore it was being retracted after being published. Okay, they have some issues either with the data, either with the integrity of the authorships. Okay. So soon after Hindawi retracted those 8,000 paper, it published a white paper. It summarized why they had done it. Actually, mainly the issue is, so Hindawi uh, is being purchased, okay, or being acquired by another publisher, Wiley. Okay, so Wiley make a decisions to acquire the share of Hindawi, but after acquiring, when they do their own internal audit, they found out that a lot of papers was actually published from paper mill or was a ghostwritten paper lor. So they decided to withdraw those paper. So in this white paper published by Wiley, it discussed a few things, which is I have just mentioned: unethical authorship practices, use ChatGPT, whatever AI, to generate data or to fabricate the images or to uh, adopt those images. Okay, Paperma, as I mentioned, like a company set up just to produce the data and result without a proper research. Okay. Peer review manipulation, this is what we're going to go through. Okay. Like this, just now I mentioned the peer reviewer is supposed to be impartial, doesn't either is not the competitor or not the direct collaborators. Two things, isn't it? The competitor, if you give it your paper to be reviewed by a competitor, most likely they will treat it very, very harshly. Uh, but if you give it to your collaborators, Okay, or most likely they will try to support its publications, so it will not review at the full breadth. Okay, what happened at Hindawi? So you don't have to know this one, but if our interest, you can read it. You can download this paper yourself from the website. Okay. So just to highlight, Nature, which is merged with Springer, so we call Springer Nature now. Okay. Recently published one article also. So it state that 10,000 research paper were retracted in 2023, a new record. This is also being fans or being spurred by this AI. AI was started 2021, isn't it? So like in 2022, 2023 started to have a surge in the number of papers being facilitated by the AI writing. But anyway, here, very, very interestingly, you see, so in that paper, it identified this top country with the paper retracted, which Malaysia is listed as number 6. Okay, so top country, Saudi, in terms of percentages, Pakistan, Russia, China, Egypt, and Malaysia at number 6, which is not a very good sign. So be very, very careful when you're involved in any publishing activities. Avoid at all costs any things that can be related to paper mount or ghostwriting. Okay, which means that you must make sure the data is valid, and all the researchers, the researchers should contribute intellectually towards your publications from beginning. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me just quickly go through the reviewing process. Okay, so this is the peer review hierarchy, or the SOP lah, protocol standard operating procedures. Okay, you have these executive associate editors, which is the most senior editors lah. Normally, this executive associate editor are full-time employer of the publisher. That means they are on remunerated by the publishers to run the journals. And you have associate editors also. Most associate editors, like academician or lecturer at the universities, which is not paid. They don't receive any kind of remunerations from the journals. And likewise, reviewer are the researchers in the particular field, which is not being paid also to be to review those other manuscripts. Okay. So there's another layer called EIC, editor in chief. Okay. Editor in chief is normally the most most commonly they are a full-time academician at universities. Most commonly they are the professor or well-known figures, well-known professor in that particular field. Okay, they receive some incentive from the journals to be the editor in chief. Some highly successful journals like Nature, Science, they hire full-time editor in chief. Okay. So now when you submit your manuscript to be published, to be considered by the journals, first you will go to the EIC, okay? Or sometimes the EIC, if it's too busy, they will delegate the duty to the executive associate editor, okay? Then they will do a quick assessment to see whether it's suitable or not to be reviewed. Normally they look at the scope of the journal, whether it suits or not. Let's say now your manuscript is talk about data science, but you submit it to let's say psychology journals. This is obviously doesn't fit the journal scope. Obviously they will outright reject it. Okay. And then so the EIC will do a quick review and then screen and the manuscript, and then they will send it to the executive associate editor, or sometimes straight to the associate editors. and then associate editors will decide whether to send for peer reviewing. Okay. And then once, normally the associate editor will review as well. So the on top of the two reviewer, the associate editors or the guest editor will review. So no, it will review like three different personnel or scientists. Okay, and then they will, after they receive the reviewer comment, then they will decide whether to either reject or to send for to request the authors for revisions, or to accept the manuscript without corrections. So the reviewer are asked to review the scientific content, which we will go through the process together. Yeah. Just to let you know, like I also acting as a managing editor. So there's sometimes some journals appoint this managing editor, which is serve as a equivalent that as seen this executive associate editors lah. Okay. Sometimes they call it managing editors to assist the EIC. Okay. And then the Prof. Go is actually the editor-in-chief for this particular journal, Progress in Drug Discovery and Biomedical Science. Okay. So under that, they have the editorial board member lah, or sometimes they call it EBM. Okay. We are the professors or researcher actively publishing in this particular area. Okay. So just to let you know also, you can volunteer to be the associate editors of the journals. Okay. You can write in to express interest, then together with your CV, and then the chief editor, if feel like they need more associate editors, then they will appoint you as the associate editors lah. So then it will be official things, like let's say for example, I'm acting as the associate editor for Frontiers in Pharmacology, which is Frontiers now, the reputation is not rather good because it have been somewhat blacklisted by the Ministry of Higher Education. Okay. And also the associate editors of this BNC journals. BNC is under Springer Nature, yeah. So it's the BNC Health Service Research. Okay. They spelled the university wrong. It was previously. Anyway, so coming back, just now I did mention, isn't it? You can suggest those opposed reviewer. Same thing because of potential conflict interest. And then for journal review, this is from NDPI. Okay, when you want to accept to be a reviewer of a manuscript, okay, you must declare yourself. This is self-declarations. But some journals, they already implementing this AI, so they have their own database. They will screen through. Okay, they will only send to the reviewer that have not published with the authors before. Let's say now I submit one I submit one article to be considered at Frontiers. So they will check against their database lah. They will send the invitation for reviewing to researchers that have not published with me before. Okay. Why? Because of the potential conflict interest, isn't it? If the reviewer if the reviewer are those publishing with me before, most likely they will try to be more lenient because they know each other. Okay. So you can, this is the slide from just now. You can exclude. No? You can also suggest, no? But depends on the chief editor. If they found out that there's a potential conflict interest, then they will not send your paper to be reviewed by the suggested reviewer. Okay, so let's go through the process again. You as the researcher, you submit the manuscript to a journals to be considered. Okay, so the manuscript was sent directly to the editor-in-chief or executive direct editor. Okay, so they will receive the EIC will receive your manuscript, and then they will check to decide if the paper fit to the scope, and if it's already achieved some certain quality. Certain quality means, like, for example, they look at the sample size, they look at your method, okay, whether it's valid or not, or sometimes they want to know whether you have done quantifications correctly, or you have done identification of the molecule. You have to go through the author requirements, sorry, the manuscript submissions requirement to see you tick all the boxes before submissions. Okay. If it doesn't fit into the scope or otherwise of the requirement, then it will be rejected or in a positive way, it means returned to the author without review. So that means that you can send to other journals. Okay. So if they feel it's a good fit to the journals, then happy to send for revisions, then they will send it to the associate editor, which then the associate editor will have the say either to not send for review or send for review. Okay. Okay. If once the associate editor receive the review, the associate editor will review the manuscript themselves. Okay. And then they will decide whether to normally they can decide themselves, depends on the policy. Okay, they can send back to the associate the EIC also to make the final decisions. But anyhow, the decision made by associate editor will be finally decided by the EIC, which means that, let's say here associate editor accept the paper, but the EIC still can reject the paper. Okay. So this is the category that I mentioned: accepted without corrections, require revisions, and or reject those submissions. And then you as the authors will receive the comments, and then you have to prepare the replies to the reviewer comments, and also to revise the manuscript, which then will be sent back again to the reviewer. If the reviewer happy to accept it, then the manuscript will be accepted. If not, then you have to go through the second round of revisions. Okay. Sometimes after second round of revision, the paper might be rejected also. Depends. Okay, but rarely when it go through a second round revision, normally they will try to give a positive outcome, which is acceptance. Okay. Okay, this one I'm sure you are very well aware, but just for the sake of discussions, the structure of a manuscript. Here is original research. Okay, a review paper with a search component also can be considered as a original research paper. Okay, which you have all these abstract introduction, methods, material if it's a bench research, result and discussions. Sometimes this one can be integrated, and acknowledgement, work cited or reference. Be very careful. A lot of articles have been caught. They generated the references using AI, and this doesn't look well on the researcher itself. Okay, so be very careful. Do not generate references using AI. I know the AI now is very advanced, It come out, it have it can be it have access to internet now. They can generate a more accurate. Just make sure that all cited references are valid, no? Okay, are correct. Okay. So in the first next few slides, we will go through the requirements, okay, of all these sections. Yeah, just very briefly. Uh, I'll try to have a short break after 1 hour. Let me put an alarm. Okay, generally less than 2,000 words. Depends on the journal. Some 300, some 400. Okay, you have to comply lah, because if not, then they will ask you to revise your abstract. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Brief part. Some is structured, some are unstructured. Again, depends on the journals. If it's structured one, then they want you to have all this heading. Most likely not hypothesis lah. Normally they won't have. You have to put in the aim and objective. Okay. So introductions. Why is it important to give an overview lah? Why is worth reading your paper? What is being treated? The aim or objective, method. How was it being tested? What is your findings? Uh, the overall your conclusions, how you view those data. Okay, from the researcher point of view. So abstract. So another tips, if you are going to publish in a non-open access journals, try to include more results in your abstract so that the researcher can read the result without going through the full text. Okay. Okay, introductions. So this one, just now it was at the abstract, isn't it? Abstract, you have introduction section. Normally, it's just 1 or 2 sentences. Give you the overall highlight why it's important to study that particular topic. So introduction is normally the literature review sections, a compressed version. Normally is around 500 to 700 words. Why is important to know the word limits? Because when you write your manuscript, you know the limit. You structure it from the very beginning, so you have an outline. Okay, you know specifically first sentence what you want to write, second sentence what you want to write, or first paragraph what is all about, second paragraph what about, and then you write exactly just that right number of word, uh, so that you don't have to overwrite the. I mean, you don't have to summarize again. Some students prefer to write 3 pages and then summarize into 1 pages. It is not very time effective in that sense. Okay. So for the introductions, normally you include all these elements. Why this study is in significance when you compare with other studies, to compare the background, and then what are the aim and the hypothesis or research questions. Okay, why it's important? You must cite not just, it's a mixture of the latest and then the landmark paper related to that area. Okay. Hypothesis, what is expect to see whether you reach that particular finding or not. Okay. Some approach proposed as they call it funnel approach. You talk very broadly, either from geographic area, like say the global perspective, then ASEAN perspective, then Malaysia perspective, or you talk very broadly in terms of the general science and then specifically to the subspecializations, or you talk about from historical point of view. Okay. what happened 20 years back, and then 10 years back, and then 5 years back. Okay. Material method, this one quite straightforward. Normally, when we write a manuscript, we will advise the students to write the material and method section first because this is the most descriptive one. And then a lot of times is because we are not reinventing the wheel, isn't it? Most of the method is the validated method. So you can follow what are the previous paper, how they write the method and the method sections. Okay. Narrative format, material, not listing. In thesis, normally you can list down, but the material is just like 1 or 2 paragraph. What are the material used? Step-by-step procedure in brief, concise. Okay, concise in a way that other researchers still able to repeat their studies, to recreate the work. This is make sure that let's say for example, you follow the method described in the one paper and you were not able to get the result. That means what? The 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 paper doesn't include the correct informations, or the finding are false finding. Okay. Okay, results. A lot of times you must also include the statistical analysis. Okay. Normally unlimited word, but normally is you present it in the table and then you follow the sequence. Sequence in the sense that, okay, first part, if you talk about the in vitro work, second part in vivo work, and then your method, if you discuss in vitro work and then in vivo work, then your result also must cohesive. Okay. Include those numerical data in table. And then now the trend is you can upload your data as a separate data file to those hosts or to the data portals so that other researcher can download, have access to your data, especially those working on the data science area. Clearly label and then include all these, if necessary, statistical significance. Okay. And a lot of times, students tend to include conclusions or discussion in the method sections. Okay. Result just for data. You don't add your discussion in the method, sorry, in the result sections. Okay. Discussions. What is a discussions? Based on your result and data, okay, you compare again with the existing data, and then you try to draw conclusions based on your findings. Okay. Here mentions this is talking about full articles, to around 1,500 words. Okay. So you can include all these informations. Okay. A lot of times you don't cite the findings. I mean, sometimes students add more data in the discussions. All data should be in the result sections, and then you can cite in your discussion, let's say, or based on the figure 1 or based on table 1, what are the potential discussions. Well, thus far, I'm sure this one is very clear cut. I'll give you the slides, yeah, so you can go through yourself, just in case you want to review it. But the good thing about this course is there's no exam, isn't it? Okay, acknowledgement, as I mentioned, it is very important, especially your project is funded. If you don't cite the funding, you, your supervisor cannot close the cannot close the grant. Okay, because the grant always come with certain KPI or certain output. For example, 3 paper or 2 papers, and then you must cite the grant code. on the acknowledgement. Okay. And then acknowledgement, you don't acknowledge the authors. Hmm. Some articles acknowledge their supervisor. You don't have to do so because the supervisor are part of the authorships already. Okay. And then very importantly, if you want to acknowledge an organization or someone, you must get the permission first. It's not like you can without informing them, because sometimes they themselves don't want to be included as an acknowledgement. Yeah. Okay. This is just an example we have gone through just now. Yeah. And acknowledgement, you acknowledge those contributed, but it's not disclosed as the authors lah. Like for example, here they thanks this specific person, particular research assistant, okay, which are not part of the authors. Okay. Okay, references. Okay, what are the normal? Just can you type on the chat box? Wait, never mind. I'll tell you later. Okay, let's see. Can you type on the chat box how many numbers of references will be appropriate for a research paper? Research paper are not review paper in your particular area, and also to indicate whether you have reviewed any you have been invited by any journals to be a reviewer, or you acted as a reviewer before. Please put on the chat box. Yeah. No one is around, huh? Everyone on the sleeping mode. Minimum references. So if I'm a reviewer, if I see a paper which are not very, sorry, have very limited references, so there will be a doubt like, is the reviewer have done sufficient literary review or not? Because if seriously, any kind of idea that you have generated, you can find related papers on that, huh? In such um current era, there are tons of papers on different subject areas. Yeah. So it is, I just want to know your view. So everyone, please respond. Yeah. Can you answer as well? Have you reviewed any paper before, either officially or unofficially? Officially means you have been invited and then you submitted a review through the submission portals. I just want to know because if you have been acted as a reviewer before, will be easier for our discussions. Not really. So if especially if once you have published one journals and if your email address is being displayed or included in the paper, so that automatically the email will pick up by the publishers and then they will start sending you uh, as a paper to be reviewed. So let's go through review. Amanda said 50 wiki. Wait, so Adil said 25 to 50, 30 to 50, 20 to 50, 40 to 60, 50. Depends on how extensive the paper. Normally a research paper will not uh, be more than 4,000 to 6,000 words. There is a word limit. They try not to have too long papers unless some special occasions where the paper have a lot of results or some clinical trial papers, then they will be very, very long. For 30 to 50, no. Okay. So how you know the normal ballpark figure is you check the journals itself. What do you mean by you check the journals? Let's say you're going to publish in uh Nature, for example. So you go to look at the journals. Sorry, you look at a few article related to that area published by Natures and look at how many references being cited. What is the length of the paper? How many paper reference cited? That will be the industry standard. Okay, because for different field, they might have a different particular standard. Okay, so I give you an example. I attended a 3 days workshop when I was a PhD student on how to write a paper, how to prepare a manuscript. So the speaker is a very experienced researcher, published many papers, and then so one of the exercises is he asked us to identify one manuscript in our research area, and then asked us to analyze how how long is the title, what is the word count or abstract, what is the structure of the introduction, everything. In the micro level, first sentence, what is it? Second sentence, what is it? Okay. And then his advice is write exactly like, it's not like saying asking us to copy it, but look at how it is being structured, elaborated. So which naturally also the references, it give you that a good estimate how many references to be included. So I find it very useful. So in the sense that when I want to start writing for especially in one particular area, so I will read a few article, but obviously in your master or PhD, you're supposed to be specializing on one particular research, isn't it? One particular area. So naturally, you have to go through the scoping and then writing the review. So that is the stage when you start identifying, oh, this is the particular journals. This is how the journal want. Okay, what kind of information the journal want, how it should be elaborated, how long the length, everything. Okay. So for some qualitative paper, it is very, very long because it's like reading a novel, and they write a lot of this abstract philosoph philosophical ideas. But for biomedical sciences or biological sciences, is rather brief. Okay, concise, 4,000 6,000 words for the full paper. Okay. Okay. Do you see the full screen of on your screen? Full slide, huh? Hang on. Okay, good. Now, okay, before let's take a let's take a short break where 10 minutes lah. I don't want to bore you too much. We come back at let's take a 10 minutes break lah, when we will quickly wrap up today's sessions. Then we can continue in the afternoon, yeah. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know also. So when we come back, then we put on the journal reviewer cap. Okay. Let's break for 10 minutes. Hi everyone, welcome back. I just give you a quick overview of the reviewing process. We will end this morning sessions by 12 o'clock. Then we'll continue at 2 o'clock. Okay, before that, let me just quickly go through. So what happened was some journals will share the reviewer comments and also the replies to the reviewer comments. I'm trying to locate it, but I couldn't find it now. So what happened was BMC used to publish the history of the reviewer comment, but I don't see it now. Okay, but some journals do put that. That will be a very good learning tools, because when I was at your stage also, I'm very intrigued. I like to read what are the comment by the reviewers, and then from there I pick up the what to avoid when I writing my manuscript, and also how to answer or how to reply to the reviewer comment. Okay. And if you have signed up as authors on the NDPI, even though I mentioned NDPI have been blacklisted by the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, but doesn't mean that it's not. I mean, in at Summer University, we still set NDPI as an official journals or official publishers. So you can create one account with NDPI. You just go to my profile, and then you just log into NDPI, and then you can be a reviewer also. I did mention being a reviewer, you are not being paid, isn't it? But some publishers, in order to encourage a reviewer to review the paper, because if without reviewers' comment, they cannot publish the paper, and they cannot publish the paper means what? They are losing their revenue, right? More paper they publish, this is a business model for them. Coming back here, so they introduce some incentive in a way as, like, for example, discount vouchers. So I'm actively reviewing for NDPI journals lah. So as you see, these are my track record. So I have reviewed, I think, more than 250 papers now for NDPI. So each review, after each review that you do, NDPI will give you a discount voucher, which you can use it for offset the publishing fees. You you must aware that, like, for NDPI, one manuscript they will charge you around how many? 10, 11, huh? 10 10,000. Yeah, around 11,000 Swiss pound. Sorry, Swiss franc. So you see, if you have reviewed 220, you will have gathered around 54,000 Swiss franc, which have been used to finance my publication previously. I still have around 15 discount voucher now. So you can see rejection is quite normal. If you see my track record, display submitted, it will give you an overview. So I have around 222 papers were rejected. Oh, out of which 49 was accepted. And but obviously try to make it a good quality paper so that you don't have to go through many round of revisions. So you can see my invoices, I use my invoices. See the some are free because I have used my voucher to pay for it. If it's not free, you see the amount will be around 1,800 USD, or you see 11,500, 11,050 Swiss pound. Okay. So let me quickly go back to the slides. That's one just to highlight the perks of being a reviewer for some journals. Okay, so now imagine that you are a reviewer. What you need to pick up when you are reviewing a manuscript. Okay. How to review the manuscripts assigned to you. So now we will going to review one original research paper on the related to biomedical sciences, because I think biological sciences, I think might not be your niche area, but use it as an example, which some tips do and don'ts are quite applicable across all science research area. Okay, once you receive a manuscript, number one, normally the assistant editor will help you to check the format. You don't have to do it now. Okay. So most manuscript that you receive as a reviewer, they have gone through the formatting stage. And if you when you can accept or reject uh invitations. So if you feel like you are not familiar with that research area, you don't accept, you can reject those invitations. Okay. Mm. Main point of the thesis of the manuscript, uh, what are the key research area? Normally, I will look at the method lah. If the method is something that I'm familiar with, then I will accept it. I mean, I will accept the invitation to review it. Okay. Research questions, because a research question should be answered by the method, isn't it? Assess the method and finding, which is intended with that. What the researcher did. Could you repeat the experiment? If you feel that the method described is not comprehensive enough for you to repeat it, then you can don't reject it straight away. Like you can ask them, okay, maybe the method is not descriptive enough. You need to ask them to give them a chance. If the results are appropriate, if you have like confident the result are valid. Okay. If the result are not valid, then you can reject the paper outright. Uh, have they used graph table to present the finding or not? A lot of time, the mistake done by a young researcher is they presented the table, they presented the data in the table format, and also then they describe it in the text in the same method, in the same result section. Either one, if you describe the result on the table, then you omit the table. If you have the result in the table itself, you don't have to say that 20% of this okay. Okay, so once you have gone through that stage, then you have gone through the paper, then now you prepare the reviewer comment. So what happened is with the reviewer comment, if you reject it, if you reject the manuscript, you can give you can list down what are the rejection point. Okay. If your conclusion is to allow for revisions, okay, then the authors need to prepare the reviewer comments points by points. Okay. So just rule of thumbs there's no fixed method to do the reviewer comment, but this is just a accepted format. No? Okay. Brief summary of the main hypothesis and finding of the manuscript, just to give an overview to see that all. Normally, you highlight the positive point and then mention the weakness of the paper, and then from there it leads to the comments, major comments and then minor comments. Okay. So from as a positive thing, to highlight why you think that this is a good paper, but still there are some things that need to be addressed. Okay. And as what I mentioned, major strength and weaknesses. Um, how you phrase it is also very important. Be professionals lah. Don't have to put in your personal personal comments like I don't like your paper or this is rubbish, which is very personal. Okay. So be empathetic. Okay. Okay, this is an example. If the manuscript is not really good, then obviously you can reject it. When you reject it, normally you can you don't have to write too long because you know that the paper is not good quality already. Then you just highlight the main point why it's rejected. Either you have doubt that the method is done correctly, or you find that the data was present not in the correct manner. Okay. Okay, so numerous problem, be specific lah when you want to put in. So this is example of feedback which is not consider a good comment. These are the reasons lah. Okay, like the students, like specifically you put the blame on the student. It could be the supervisor fault, isn't it? I will not accept it with an exclamation mark. So this is very insulting lah. Do not do that. Okay. And a lot of times is there are two steps. Even though you are an associate editor, you can reject it, but you recommend for rejections, and then only the EIC, chief editor, will have the final decisions. Okay. So this is considered as a good reviewer comment. Okay. First is explore the talk generally lah. This is very brief. This is step by step. Okay. The reviewer comment could be very, very long. Sometimes 2 or 3 pages. Okay. Okay. The manuscript explore hypothesis that both male and female mice lacking beta endorphin will voluntarily consume less alcohol than the wild type mice. This is the article I haven't shown you. I'll show you the article later. Okay. Several major minor concerns. So this is they give a positive overview, and then they list down the major and minor comments, and you can write it either in general or based on the structure or based on the section. So in this example, the reviewer put comments section by sections. So abstract, it lists down. You don't have to use point form also. You can use sentence. And then it gives minor concern. Normally, you have major concerns, you put major first. Okay, but here because it put go by sections and it don't have major concern for an introduction, so he put minor. Sometimes you don't have to put minor concern, so you can straight away just list down. Okay, and sometimes you can put pages number so that they know which line, which page number have issue or have problem. Okay, or if you want, you can add those reference add this comment as a note lah, as a comment directly on the PDF of the article, and then you just attach the article as the attachment, so the reviewer will able to pinpoint. So the authors will be able to pinpoint where are those comments. So material and method, major concern, source of the mice. You can put question mark as well. Okay. So why this is considered as a major, because it have direct impact on the experimental design. As I explained earlier, if the method are wrong, then straight away the finding will be will consider you not useful. Remember the term rubbish in, rubbish out. If it's the method must be validated and correctly correct. Okay, so these are just an example what to avoid when it comes to feedback. Better way to phrase, sentence is wrong. Wrong is like so blunt, isn't it? Okay, you can put it, let's say, for example, it's unclear. Okay, put a comma here. So this is just in term of being courteous. A comma will be appropriate here. Your data can be singular or plural lah. Both are correct. Data is or data are wrong. Do not match. There's a mismatch or in coherent lah. Sometimes I like to use the word coherent because the it's not synchronized. Sometimes when you read the aim, objective, and also method and finding, it doesn't agree each other, then this is coherent issues. It's not cohesive. So then that means the researcher doesn't plan the studies well. Okay. So these are just very brief example. When you start submitting your manuscript next time, then you start building up your experience. If you want, you can ask your supervisor to send you examples. Throughout their publication track record, they I mean, each time they submit a paper, they receive reviewer comments, so they can share with you the reviewer comment and then how they address those reviewer comments. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this example, which we will use it. We will just spend 50 minutes to go through some of this. I'll share the slide with you, which you can go through yourself. If it's this study doesn't interest you, you don't have to read it. Okay, so it's about oral self-administration of ethanol in transgenic mice. Okay, lacking this particular hormone by these authors. Okay. So you can download the full text here. Okay. In fact, this paper is not very highly cited. Cited 5 times only. References 23 could have more. Okay, could have more. And then straight away, you can see that this should be in full ethanol. Okay, in title unless it's very specific. Okay. Try to you not try to avoid using abbreviations in titles. So as I mentioned, there are several slides which I'm going to share with you. Some they come with the examples. So this is the original submissions. Okay. Let's go through some of the comments. First part, this is the abstract of the manuscript. Okay. So you must describe the abbreviation at the first instance, like ethanol. Okay, put ethanol, what is it in, and then in the bracket ETOH. Okay, and then you can use the abbreviation subsequently. Do you need a reference for abstract? No, yeah. Normally we don't accept. No, we don't have. Yeah, that's correct. Because uh, abstract conclusion, normally we don't add references lah. This is normal standard lah, because it's a bit odd if you have references there. Okay. And then wait, I stop. Okay. Inaccurate information, like for example, beta endorphin deficient mutant mice, homogeneous mutant mice. This not exactly my research area. So those in this area perhaps have better information. Like make sure the information you put in, because the reviewer, when they first read, obviously they read the abstract to get an overview, then they read normally the method. So make sure these are correct. Material and method, this highlighted the material and method. Okay, so you have one section. This format is called free, no, without the subheading, unstructured, unstructured abstract. So it's combined some structure. If it's a structure abstract, then you have a heading, introductions, aim, method, result, conclusion. Okay, so you see the material method are somewhat scattered, and it should be aligned, streamline, the whole thing. Knockout should be in full. Okay, just like ATOH just now. And discussions, this is supposed to be in discussions. Okay, so if you look at the revised versions, okay, it's easier to read. okay? And also you have a clear-cut aim, objective, method, result, and discussion, okay? Normally, the last sentence is the final conclusions, lah, which is quite appropriate because it shows that data support hypothesis. Okay, quite simple, isn't it? Let's take a quick look on the introduction sections. So this is the original introductions. So as I mentioned just now, introduction should be around 500 to 750 words. No? Okay. So it's a compact versions of the literature review, which is the compact versions of your chapter 1 in your thesis, yeah? Because your thesis will be conventional thesis format, isn't it? So you have your chapter 1, chapter 2, okay? So let's take a quick overview of these introductions. So it sounds like this one is a good example of introduction sections because it open up the topic broadly, yeah? Okay? Bear in mind, some reviewer prefer to have more updated references. But if you feel that this is a landmark paper, very important paper, even though it's a bit old, you still can use it. So it has been first mentioned, you don't have to repeat it. You can keep using ETH later. Okay. This is formatting issues. If you remember the funnel approach, so give a from a general to more specific one. And then a lot of times, if you have a study related to human clinical trial, especially latest one, it will be worthwhile to put in because then you can project what happened in human model and then animal model. So make sure that it is clear. Like let's say here, the ethanol modified the synthesis and release of. This is just a very general. Okay, if possible, put some reference lah. Or if you want, if say according to so and so. Okay, or confirmed by study conducted by which universities. Okay, can also. Hmm? And if it's too long a sentence, try to separate it. Okay, so that it's easier to understand. And if this part, if it's discussed before, normally group it together lah, so that each sentence or each sections have its own idea. Like each paragraph normally we will advise just one idea, or each sentence normally one idea. Okay. And then under that particular sentence, you describe the same idea. Okay. Okay, here you see this author put that, for example, this author found evidence support the. But if you read the whole thing, it's rather um not clear. Okay, so and even though you mention one references here, okay, if possible, trying to make it more explicit. Hypothesis, okay, you can embed the hypothesis before the aim and objective lah. Okay, hypothesis here mentions, suppose there is one objective. Okay, here you see it. The introduction shouldn't include your own finding yet. huh? Normally, it will end with your aim and objective. Okay, but here you see our data support our hypothesis. This one, in fact, will be the to be used in the discussion sections. Okay. Okay, statements should be more concise. I depends. I do advise when you start writing, do freestyle writing first. Just write and then do the language editing later. Most important thing, you write down your idea first, so that you will not limit your thought process. Okay, especially English is not our I mean, in my case, it's not my first language. So a lot of time I just write first and then I do the language editing later. Okay. Okay, is it if it's a redundant statement which is not needed, you can exclude it, and also remember just now I mentioned you have an outline first, so that you don't write exceeding the required number of words, like for example 750. So you make sure that you only include those most relevant information. Okay, so this is more to structuring of the sentences lah. Rodent with rover, some genotypes doesn't too general. It sounded like too general. Concept is related to genetic reliability. If it's not needed, I'm go very quickly because not everyone's doing on this area. Just to give you a hint lah. What is it like? If it's these changes, sometimes we uh, to our convenience we write some vague sentence, but the reader when they read it, very they might not be able to understand it. So you must read again the next day and see whether you should add more information or not. Why I say the next day? Because after a while, when you read back what you have written, then you're able to pinpoint what are the weaknesses. Okay, because after you read, we might not able to identify the weaknesses from our own sentence. Yeah, structure of the sentence is confusing. Okay. Okay, here citation appear twice. Okay, it depends on the journal. Some journal want this way, but when you cite this, normally you don't have to cite it again lah. Depends on the journal. Okay. If it's unclear, okay. Unfortunate. Uh, I in beginning of career, I like to use this unfortunate, sadly, but then there were reviewer don't like this kind of descriptive sentence because they say this is scientific. You don't have to put in the very descriptive format. So after that, I stopped using all this unfortunate, sadly, unexpectedly, or unexpectedly still okay if you explain it. Simplified it, okay, if so that it will not be too long. Concise, be concise. So this is the revised versions part 2. So if you see after revisions, okay, it's more concise. Okay. Okay, very, very quickly. I don't go through in details because it's just to give you a supervision overview. Okay. As mentions, material method is to allow someone to replicate. That is particularly true for sciences, physical sciences, because we build on the research of other people, and if the research of other people are false, inaccurate, it will affect our study. Okay. So this is material method original part 1. Okay, which need some revision, obviously. Okay. The first, the mice where it's being procured, what are the gender also use, ratio. This is those working on the in vivo models, yeah. Okay, ethics approval must be given for those involving animal ethics and human ethics. Okay, if not, it will be rejected straight away, yeah. Okay, ethics are very important. Missing information should be added. Part two, statistical analysis also important. Normally, we put statistical analysis at the end of the method sections, and then it should include how you conducted, how all this statistical analysis is conducted. So these are the revised versions. This uh, the origin. Okay, the best way to do it is to pick one or two articles close to your study design, and then you just follow. Okay, this is not copy and paste, but then because method is we're using the same method. I mean, so you can follow how the way is being structured and written, because that is the industrial norm to write the method. And most commonly, we will not say this is plagiarism for a method, because the method are the standard one. Okay. Statement about ethics approvals, and then how these animals are treated. Okay. Uh, those in vivo models very important, so that it will explain why the result in such a way, how many subjects are included. Statistical analysis. Okay, if you realize here they use unstructured method sections. Mostly is structure. You have to put one heading. Okay, subheading, yeah. Okay. More informations to be added by the writers. Especially your thesis. Your thesis should be very you have a very descriptive method sections. Okay. Okay, result. As I mentioned, I don't have to go through all this with you. If not, you're going to be very bored. But I'll share with you what you can do is just you go through yourself, okay? Especially if you think that this study related to you. I just give you an overview of all these, what are the common method, results, comments, okay? As I mentioned, try to ask from your supervisors previously published papers by them. What are the reviewer comments? That will be the closest one for you to follow. Okay. Very, very briefly, these predatory journals, the supervisor will tell you which one journals are should be avoided. Okay. Be careful as well when you receive invitation to publish, especially when you start publishing the papers. A lot of time you receive solicits being solicited by the journals to publish in their by the editor to publish in their journals. Okay. So this bell lists are not the most accurate one, but it just gives you an overview which journal to be avoided. Okay. So these predatory or blacklisted journals, okay, are those um dishonest journals lah. They take your they mainly aim for financial gain only. Okay. So this is what I mentioned. Hindawi, Frontiers, and DBI is discouraged by the Ministry of Higher Education. So this one's common comics. It's actually not that tough. The more you publish, the easier it gets lah, because you know the hang of it already, and then you know what are the common pitfalls to be avoided, and then your supervisor are the best people to tell you to avoid you going through the same mistake they have gone through lah. So you're building on the strength of your supervisor research and standing on their shoulders. Okay, so these are the, in fact, this PPT was adopted from these particular researchers. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I concluded this morning sessions. I see you again in the afternoon. Which are going to go through the second half of today's discussion. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to post your questions. Either you can email me or you can ask me later.